On the night of April 14, 1912, the Atlantic Ocean was unusually calm. No wind, no waves, no moonlight. In those conditions, danger didn't roar, it hid. Ahead of the RMS Titanic lay a frozen threat that would become the most famous iceberg in history. But the real tragedy may not have been the iceberg itself. It may have been a chain of small, human decisions, one of them so minor that it fit inside a pocket. A key. Titanic was not just a ship. It was a statement. At the time, it was the largest moving object ever built by humans. Advanced watertight compartments, modern safety systems, and unmatched luxury led many to believe it was practically unsinkable, even if the word itself was rarely used officially. That confidence shaped decisions. Despite entering an area known for icebergs, Titanic continued at near full speed. Ice warnings came in throughout the day from other ships. They were noted, logged, and then largely ignored. Why slow down? After all, nothing this big was supposed to fail. High above the deck, in the crow's nest, two lookouts stood watch, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee. Their job was simple and terrifying: spot danger in the darkness. But there was a problem few passengers knew about. They had no binoculars. This much is confirmed by testimony after the disaster. The lookouts were scanning the black ocean with nothing but their naked eyes. In calm seas, that mattered more than people realize. Normally, waves break against icebergs, creating white foam that makes them easier to spot. But that night, the ocean was flat like glass. The iceberg had no breaking waves, no warning shimmer. It was a shadow against a darker shadow. Here's where the theory enters, and history starts to debate. The binoculars were locked in a storage cabinet. The key to that cabinet had belonged to an officer who was removed from the voyage at the last minute due to a crew reshuffle. When he left the ship, he unknowingly took the key with him. This is also confirmed. What is not confirmed is what difference those binoculars would have made. Some experts argue binoculars would have narrowed the field of view and possibly delayed detection. Others say that even a few extra seconds of warning, 20, 30, maybe 60 seconds, could have changed everything. At Titanic's speed, seconds mattered. At 11:40 p.m., Frederick Fleet finally saw it. Iceberg, right ahead. The warning came too late. The order was given to turn the ship and reverse engines. Titanic responded slowly, a giant trying to dodge at the last second. The iceberg scraped along the ship's side, puncturing multiple compartments. The damage didn't look dramatic at first. Many passengers didn't even feel the collision. But beneath the surface, the ship was bleeding. Here's the uncomfortable truth history has settled on. Titanic didn't sink because of one mistake. It sank because of many small ones lining up perfectly. Sailing at high speed in an ice field. Overconfidence in design. Ignored or downplayed ice warnings. Insufficient lifeboats. Poor evacuation coordination. And possibly, a locked pair of binoculars with no key. The binocular story isn't a proven cause. It's a multiplier. A symbol of how minor oversights can become catastrophic when combined with arrogance and momentum. This is where historians split. Some say even if the iceberg had been seen earlier, Titanic might still have been unable to turn in time. Others believe a head-on collision, though severe, might not have doomed the ship the way a side scrape did. What we know is this: Titanic had room to maneuver. Titanic had warnings. Titanic had technology. What it lacked was caution. So what was the real mistake? It wasn't the iceberg. It wasn't fate. It wasn't bad luck. The true mistake was confidence without humility. The belief that systems were strong enough to forgive human error, until they weren't. The missing binoculars matter not because they guarantee survival, but because they represent how close Titanic was to a different outcome. A few seconds, a slightly earlier turn, a little less speed. History often turns on moments smaller than we expect. Titanic isn't remembered because a ship sank. Ships sink all the time. It's remembered because the disaster exposed a universal truth. Progress without responsibility is dangerous. From aviation to technology, from medicine to artificial intelligence, Titanic remains a warning carved into ice and steel. Not everything fails loudly. Sometimes failure whispers, and waits. The iceberg didn't defeat Titanic. Human certainty did, and maybe, just maybe, history turned on a key that never made it back on board.